I reckon they watched our podcast. Do you reckon?
I think so.
I reckon they watched
and they
it, and they saw the disgust in my face when I was like, how are we questioning her? And then thought, okay,
she's right.
The fans have spoke. Let's give her a contract. Well,
the fans,
the number one fan. Not the fans, because they were rolling around.
I was about to say.
The fan I'm talking about. Welcome back to another episode of Fara Talks. I'm with Ryhanna, and we're going to round up the first games of the first legs that happened in the last 2 days. I was going to say yesterday, but it happened the day before as well. And also, it's Friday the 13th, Ryhanna. So do you have any superstitions?
I'm really superstitious about the number 13. So Friday the 13th is my Super Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got I don't know which camera to show it to, but I do have a 13 tattoo.
Pretty cool.
Right here. Just a little one.
Why there?
I don't know. So I could see it. To be fair, when I used to play, I used to like draw a 13 on my hand because I'm a massive Swiftie, and Taylor Swift used to draw it. I know, I'm one of them. So when I was like playing, that was always what I'd do. I'd always draw it on my hand. So I wanted it somewhere I could see it, I guess.
So why is it lucky too?
So I went for that. Because when I was 7 and everyone starts picking lucky numbers, Taylor Swift was my idol.
Oh, okay.
And then it just stuck. Are you superstitious?
I don't know. I like, literally, I would say as a player, I would be like, no, I'm not superstitious. But every match day, like, it's weird. If I was at home on a match day, I'd clean my house before I left the house.
Oh,
in my head, I'm like, I'm cleaning it. So when I come home, I just jump in the shower. I've got a nice clean house. I can just chill. But then if I was in a hotel, I'd make the bed and I'd clean everything around. If there was any rubbish or like tea that I'd tidy it, like towels in the bath. So it's like, you know, when the cleaners come in, it's like neat. Yeah.
Makes their job easier.
And I'm like, so maybe either OCD or
there is always that.
I think more OCD. I'll take OCD over superstition.
Superstitious.
Yeah. But I did obviously. No, do you know what? It has to be a superstition. Because if I'm doing it, even if I'm in a hotel,
it probably is a bit of both. Yeah. I think.
Bit
maybe
weird. Just weird. I'll take that.
Should we psychoanalyse you? Right, let's get into it. So we are going to start with Arsenal.
Of course.
Shock horror.
Shock.
Don't worry, we'll talk about Chelsea later. So Arsenal 4-0 win over Leuven. Goals from Lionesses, Smith and Russo. Kim Little's 400th appearance. First of all, Kim Little.
Incredible.
Legend.
Mate, absolutely incredible. I remember Kim. I mean, I sound like I'm so much older than I am, 7 years. But I remember when she first come to Arsenal as a kid. And everyone was talking about this little Scottish girl, you know, joining. And I mean, she came into the team when, in my opinion, the stars that Arsenal had at the time were unreal. And you're thinking, how is this little kid, you know, from Scotland going to come over and fit and mould into this team and be a success? And mate, her ability just spoke for itself. I mean, she settled really early in the team. I mean, unbelievable player. Speaks for itself. I think, you know, what she's done at Arsenal, goes away for a bit and comes back. And even at, like, as I said, I mentioned her age there, I think she's 35. But even at 35, the way that Arsenal tick more when she's in the team than when she's not just shows that, you know, that, I mean, I think what I've got to give her credit for is the longevity.
Yeah.
And to be still playing at that level at her age. I mean, 400 games, as I say, when I think back to Kim and remember her as an Arsenal when she first signed, that little baby face to now, I don't think her face has changed too much. So she clearly ain't been stressed in her time playing football. But I can't speak for all of us on that. But yeah, I mean, incredible for Kim and for Arsenal. And obviously even moving forward, even, you know, take the age out of it, because I know it always becomes a thing once you're plus 30. Take that out of it. If these are to be successful, you know, certainly in the short term, she has to be a big part of that.
Yeah, to be fair, my favourite Arsenal chant is the 10 more years.
10 more, yeah.
Kim Little.
And I think, you know what, she probably could.
I think she could. She absolutely could.
Yeah, she could.
Right, back on track to the actual game. 4-0 win, big one. What are your thoughts on the game overall?
Yeah, I thought it would be, I'm saying a more competitive. We obviously know in the group stages, Arsenal went away and won 3-0 and was dominant in that game. I thought, on reflection, I thought Leuven would go into this game. They're very well coached. I really like the manager. I think he's very good. I thought that they would have, having played them previously, would be able to deal with that. I said a little bit about, I thought some of the players were in awe of these Arsenal players. Maybe that would be taken away because they've already faced them. And I thought tactically, you know, I'm really encouraged by the manager and what I've seen with his team, that they might, you know, give a tougher test, and on reflection that hasn't happened. And obviously having the first leg at home, you know, they would have wanted to go away to Arsenal and, you know, at least take a lesser scoreline to keep themselves in the tie. But, you know, the tie's completely been wrapped up, in my opinion, in that opening game. But, yeah, again, a dominant performance, and Arsenal really starting to hit form.
Yeah, I think
look at you smile. Look,
I don't know.
I saw that.
I do think it is one of those things, though, with a side like Leuven playing Arsenal, it does, the fact they've played each other could have gone one of two ways. They could have really, really come at them. And I think there was like a few players who really stood out for Leuven for me, like Aurélie Renders. I thought she was brilliant, the Leuven forward, but there just wasn't enough in the final third. And do you think that plays a massive part as well? Like, for example, Arsenal subs in the second half, like having Alessia Russo coming on against tired legs. Like, what do you think that does for their mentality, looking over and seeing Alessia Russo coming on?
I mean, even when I used to play against the top teams and you play against the Arsenals and then they have a bunch of even better talent, you're already losing 4 or 5 nil and you're like, oh my God, I've got another half an hour.
Yeah.
And, they're just adding that depth that, the top teams have. It's horrible as a player. You're already trying to stay in the game. Your legs are already starting to go. Already mentally, you're like, I've got another 30. And then the quality that they're able to bring in is very deflating, for a player in a team.
Yeah, and then I want to talk about Olivia Smith playing as a striker. It's her second game as a striker, 4 goals in 4 games. Against Leuven, she had the most dribbles, the most duels, obviously got the goal as well. How do you think her game has upped since she's playing a striker? What do you think about her thrive so well centrally? Yeah,
I mean, it was an exciting signing. I think when she went for £1 million, and obviously we've seen what she did at Liverpool, you expect them to hit the ground running straight away. And I was one of those. And I was one of those that were a little bit critical of her. You was delivering last year at Liverpool. You're in a much better team now, more ball. Like, are you going to deliver the same? And I felt like she needed to add more goals to her and, end product needed to improve. And certainly in recent weeks, and not just in Champions League, but domestically, she's been really important to them. It's that settling period, and as I say, how Liverpool played and used her in transition was totally different to what we know Arsenal to be. Yeah. A very possession-based team, like to play in tight areas when team and having to break teams down. So she's settled now. She looks like she's settled. She looks more comfortable in the environment at Arsenal. And also, when you go with that price tag, there's a lot of pressure. And maybe that in the early stages was quite difficult for her. But as I say, when you think like, they moved her out from the wide areas into those more centrals, maybe that is a position that she can grow into and be really effective in, because you look at the attributes she has, actually they might really work in that position. So, and she has somebody like Russo and Blackstenius that she can really learn from. So yeah, who knows? It looks frightening. She's pacey as well. When you think of profiling of players, you just said there, the amount of dribbles, and so if you have that in a striker as well, it just really adds to your armoury. So she can finish, that's one thing. And I think if she's out in those wide areas, in terms of those opportunities to score are going to be less. Now she's more central. She's probably got one of the best strikes off left and right foot in the league, and with power. I mean, I remember talking to Rachel Laws at Liverpool, and she said, I've never experienced somebody hit the ball at me off both feet so hard. So we definitely know that she's got that. And as I say, playing more centrally might be in the long term better suited to her.
Yeah. And what do you think that means now for Arsenal's squad, how they're going to play? Because obviously since Alessia Russo signed, there's always been is she going to sit as a 10 and maybe drop a little bit deeper? Is Stina going to go forward? Where do you think she fits into these 3 strikers now? How do you think Renee's going to solve that problem?
Well, she's going to have a headache.
It's what you want, isn't it, really?
Renee's she's going to have a headache, because I think, I've always been of the, look, we always know when there's players that have qualities, you play them more often than not. But I think, with Olivia Smith and, some of the wide players, they have been rotated quite a lot. And, any player needs that consistency and that trust in order to kind of build that momentum and consistency in performances. So I think for Renee Slager, she's got to find, her best team. We in recent weeks are probably the most informed team. So they have to find their best team. We know Russo, phenomenal striker. Is that her competition? Does that then take Russo to the next level now that, she's got a player alongside her that is scoring? But maybe Renee Slagers uses her in those different areas of the pitch, depending on the game. We've seen that with Russo. She does drop into that 10, as you mentioned. And maybe that helps her because, as we mentioned, the pace of Smith, Russo dropping short and then Smith stretching could be a thing. But also Russo in the 9 and Smith off either left or right and competing there. There are options for Renee Slagers, and only good options as well.
Yeah. We're going to look to the WSL. We're still going to talk about Arsenal first. We're going to talk about that win over Manchester City. What a brilliant goal. Obviously, City 8 points ahead of now second place Manchester United. Off the back of the winter break, who do you think's come back into the WSL season looking the strongest?
Yeah, I think Arsenal.
Yeah,
your team. Is it your team? I don't know. No, I do. And I think that's what's so frustrating about Arsenal. Yeah. Because they go back to back and beat the champions, and then they beat the current, table toppers, and it's like you've gone back to back games, and then you already look like you're going to progress out of the Champions League, and the performances in both of those games, it wasn't a fluke result in either of those games. So it's one of those that is more frustration because Arsenal have the qualities, and we, coming into the season after winning the Champions League, most of us tipped them to be pushing Chelsea for the title. That hasn't happened for them. The gap's too big now, I believe, for Manchester City to lose the league. But I think City have definitely been the most consistent. But I think since the winter break, I think Arsenal have come back the better. And in doing that, you then don't rule them out of the Champions League and go and winning it again, which is crazy to think. Before Christmas, you probably wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, and since we last spoke, Sonia Bompastor has had a contract extension till 2030.
Yep.
And
wait there, because we had a bet last week. If Arsenal progress and they face Chelsea in the quarterfinal, Arsenal or Chelsea, whoever loses, one of us wear the opposition shirt. You still on for that bet? It's on. All right, we can move on to Sonia now.
Yes.
I'll sit back.
No, I've worn blue today to get it out of the way because I'm not going to be wearing it for a few weeks' time. So I'll get it out of the way.
What's her name? Is it Bridget? Bridget the Light. Is that her name? I don't even know. But let's talk about Sonia. I don't mind that.
So Sonia Bompastor has had her contract extended until 2030, and obviously the club are showing that they're massively backing her, similarly obviously to what you said the other day. And she said this quote in the press, which I think is brilliant from her. I think it's very Barclays WSL. I know who I am. I don't need people outside my environment to tell me who I am. I will always make sure I give my best. I know my competence. I know the women's game, and I do my best for Chelsea. It's brilliant.
Love that from her. I reckon they watched our podcast. Do you reckon?
I think so.
I reckon they watched and they saw the disgust in my face when I was like, how are we questioning her? And then thought, okay,
she's right.
The fans have spoke. Let's give her a contract. Well, the
fans,
the number one fan. Not the fans, because they were ruling her out.
I was about to say.
The fan I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, look, anybody, manager or player, when you're, rewarded with a contract and that trust is shown in you, it's probably in those moments of, I guess, we haven't seen Chelsea lose back-to-back since 2018. So for her, it just gives you that little bit of confidence. Actually, they trust in me. They believe in the direction I'm going in. Yeah. And it's really positive for Sonia and the club. And obviously, they had a reaction to that in their derby game domestically against Tottenham. So, players responded. Obviously, we saw the celebrations of what it meant to Sonia off the back of a little bit of criticism from two bad performances.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about Chelsea, and then there's the contract extension. Things start to kind of die down, you could say, surrounding the camp. And then it comes out that Paul Green, the head of women's football, is left after 13 years. And via The Athletic, a lot of sources have gone saying that at least one senior player called it disgraceful internally, and that his responsibilities will now be taken over by the higher-ups in the leadership. Obviously, he was a massive part of Emma Hayes' success. If people don't know exactly what he'd done, he would have been, doing the talent scouting, the recruitment, the long-term strategy and operations of Chelsea women, kind of the anchor of the club's success so far. And a lot of players have spoken vocally online about it. What do you think it is that's caused their reaction? Why do you think they're so upset?
It's difficult, isn't it? And look, we know how much Paul has done for that club. I mean, the club wouldn't be where they are and spoken about, the way that they are without him behind the scenes operating the way that he did and having that relationship, with Emma to bring the talent that he's brought in over the years and the success that has come with the players that he's been able to bring in. So he's been a huge part of, who Chelsea are now. He's there from the very start. And he's built something that, so big, but also at the same time, you've also got to look past that as well and like what next. And, is he the guy to do that? I think the thing is with senior players, and I completely understand it, at any club or in any workspace, when you're there and you have colleagues that you work with for that 13 years is a long time. You build relationships, personal relationships outside of the work relationship. And whether it be, Paul and kind of his role, whether it be a kit man, whoever, physio, your friends as well as colleagues. And that will be the same with players and their relationship with Paul. So it's normal to have those reactions and disappointments, about him not being there and what's coming next. And, I think we spoke about it last week. The club is in a transition period. The Emma Hayes kind of era is kind of, at what point do you have to move on from that and go, actually, this is what Emma did and this is what was successful with Emma and Paul and kind of the players we had then. But actually, that's been a 10-year period of success. And in them 10 years, we all get a little bit older and, things do need to change and players need to transition. And, and at some point, Sonia's going to have it her way in terms of like players that she wants. She's pretty much inherited an Emma Hayes team. and did very well with them last year, you know, the Invincibles and obviously winning 3 trophies. But at some point she's going to want to bring her players in and have a direction that she now wants to take the club in, which would have been completely different to what we know and seen Emma Hayes do for so long that was successful.
Well, that's the thing, because obviously Paul joined as Emma's assistant manager before he became head of women's football. So he knew what Emma wanted. He knew her aspirations, how she wanted to play. So the kind of players to go out and look for and to bring in, like Erin Cuthbert, for example, coming in off the back of him. And I think that's a massive part of it. And like you said, it's the new era. And Sonia has said, I think it was after the game against City, that loss, where she's kind of said that after the transfer window, she wasn't too pleased. She would have wanted to be in a better position. So yeah, I do think that comes into it. It's the mark of a new era. It's the transition period. I think it's obviously hard, but it's a new Chelsea that we're seeing.
It's horrible. It is horrible. And, you know, and as I say, as you do get older and you see these changes being made and you want to be remembered for what was, and at some point, you know, people do get moved on and things do change and evolve, and, you know, your success won't be forgotten. That's for sure. And it'll always be reminded of the people that helped Chelsea to the position they are. But yeah, I would agree that the transfer window for Chelsea wasn't great. They've got loads of injuries. They do have a big squad. But with the injuries, they needed players in early. They didn't get them in. And then we've seen now the position that they're in, dropping points, you know, 6 points. They were in a title race, they're no longer. I reckon if they added in January, that would have helped in keeping them up there. But I'm sure, and look, fans, you let us know, but I'm sure there's fans out there of other clubs that are looking at their club and be like, you know what, this person's been here too long. And actually, are they holding our club back? Paul definitely, listen, I don't agree that Paul was that person. And I'm sure fans, let me know if you think that about your own club. And name drop if you want.
Messy. It's so true. Okay, and then looking back to the Champions League, the other results, we had Wolfsburg 2, Juventus 2. That game, I was really, really hoping Juventus could hold on. It was 1-0 quite early on. When they get the second really bad deflection, I'm thinking, oh, they've done this here. Then they concede a penalty, it's scored, and then literally like last kick of the game, Wolfsburg have equalised. So I was gutted for Juventus, but I feel like that's been quite a trend we've seen from them.
Yeah, that's the thing. They get themselves into good positions, but they don't seem to be able to hold on to those leads. And as I say, against the teams, I'm saying the top teams, and Wolfsburg used to be the top team. I don't feel like they're at the same level, but they have the experience in terms of the name of being in a competition to the latter stages, and that will play a part. And they end up finding a way of getting themselves back into the game. Like, it's a game that Wolfsburg at home would have wanted to win and take that away, but they wasn't able to do that. But what they were able to do is now make the second leg as important as the first leg. So yeah, teams that are experienced within the competition can definitely do that. I think over the competition, and certainly in the group stage, I think Juventus have been the better of the two. Yeah, for me, Wolfsburg have been very underwhelming in terms of that. But they're also a team that's in transition, young players. They've got a couple of experience within that. But yeah, probably not enough to really go on and compete. They're probably, if they do progress from this part, a quarterfinal is probably at best for them.
How do you? I was about to ask, how do you see that fixture going?
The second leg?
Yeah,
that's an interesting one. I don't know. Do Wolfsburg take confidence from the way they finish the game? I also feel sometimes, sometimes not how you start, it's how you finish it, and then they can carry that momentum. If they can carry that momentum from, those last 20 minutes, I guess, of the game, they'll go there confident. But Juve at home, I think that'll be a difficult one. I don't want to sit on the fence, but I also don't know which way it'll go. I'm just going to throw it out there. Maybe I reckon Wolfsburg will win.
Ooh,
just.
Okay.
Just.
I might back Juventus.
Okay.
I just want Leo Volti to always do well.
I don't mind wearing a Juve shirt.
Oh yeah, should make another one.
They were my team that I watched when I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah, Serie A, on Channel 4, and Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, just always had it on. Everyone else in the studio have it on. Yep, you're too young.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't.
They don't, you're too young.
I don't know what we're talking about.
It's all right, don't worry.
My first 10 a.m. one that I remember was I think
it was
Soccer
10 a.m.
AM.
I can't remember. I think it was 10.
Is it Soccer AM?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first 10 a.m. sat down with my dad, ready.
Well, you missed out, man.
Big time, clearly. Okay, Paris FC 2, Real Madrid 3. Bit of a toss-up. You were there. What were your thoughts on that one?
What a game. Really competitive game. Paris FC set their intentions out right from the off.
Yeah.
Really high pressed, really tried to unsettle Real Madrid's back line. They got the goal from it. They got a corner that, ended up in a goal. The order, that was a goal. But they had a chance right after they went 1-0 up. And I think if that goes in, it's a completely different game. Madrid couldn't, in my opinion, cope with the press and the aggressiveness of the Paris FC team. But what you can't do when the ability that we know in attack that Real Madrid have is that in any moment they could change a game and turn a game on its head. And I felt like for Real Madrid, they're becoming away from that. And yes, they did dominate territory, but without anything really testing the goalkeeper. They'll come away from that knowing that moments for them changed the game, and they're still in a game because, you know, although they went 3-1 up, Paris got back into it. You know, last 10, 15 minutes, I'm watching it, you're thinking they're going to get one here. And when they got the second, it was like, even though I think it was about a minute or two on the clock, you thought actually Paris FC could go and get a third. So I think the fact that Paris FC are still in a tie, I think they'll go away to Madrid next week with bags of confidence.
Do you think they can do it?
I just think Madrid have too much quality in attack. Yeah. Caicedo, I mean, and when you think of Caicedo, she could just turn the game, and she did that. It was for the second goal. I mean, the strike from De Bruyne for the first goal that come off the post really used the weather, because I mean the surface was just, everything was skidding, and it skidded back off the post, and Caroline Weir gets that equaliser. But Caicedo was the one that when she gets the ball, she can really go and punish you. She'll get at you and put you on the back foot. She did that, and then Afinia, she obviously got the second goal, but Caicedo, we know, got the third. Yeah, she's a player that, as I say, on her day can hurt any defence, and I think she herself and Caroline Weir are the difference in that Real Madrid team. So I think Real Madrid have too much in their locker, and they're at home. Yeah, and obviously they do have an advantage. And then the final match, Atletico Madrid 0, Manchester United 3, big one. I want to get your insights here as an ex-player, because United as a team just get on so well. Dominique Janssen was saying that it feels like family, and they post all the time on socials. They're always doing some crazy TikTok challenges, this, that, or the other. How important do you think chemistry off the pitch is to what we see on the pitch? Yeah, massive. I think it can be the difference at times, especially when, you know, if you look at on paper and you put them amongst like the talent at Chelsea or Arsenal or City, on paper they do fall a little bit short. You know, they are where they are, and you know, in the top four, because they do have quality players. But I mean, overall, there's not many you'd take from Man United and put in the top three teams. But I've been in teams where we've had on paper, and this is why, you know, paper you might as well screw it up because it's no good. Because on paper you can have the best players, but actually, if there's jealousy in the team, if there's bitterness, or you don't get on, actually, whether you're aware of it or not, it does really impact on the pitch. Whereas if you're a team that you know, have less ability, and I've been in teams like Reading, for example, when our team probably wasn't, you know, the best, but actually we really was able to dig out results, because off the pitch, you know, you'd fight for each other, you really got on, and it was a nice environment. Every day you wanted to go to work and, you know, train and whatever else. So I definitely think environments can change that. I think the biggest example of that is when the Lionesses won the Euros back in 22. It is 22, isn't it? I can't remember my dates. Or 23, 22. Or 21. In 22. When they won that, I think going into that tournament, yes, we gave them an advantage because they were at home, but I think it was more of like an excited fan thinking, oh, the Lionesses at home, like with the crowd, like we can use them, maybe we'll win, without really backing it. Like if we said it, you'd always say it. The men go to tournaments and we're like, yep, England are going to win it. And we don't say it with conviction. And I think in 22, I think, you know, I think the fans can sense and feel an environment that's good and bad. Yeah, absolutely. And I think they sensed that with the Lionesses, and everybody got behind them. And I think, you know, as you say, the Germans were probably favourites to win that. But I think that camaraderie that the Lionesses had, and still having really built, it strengthens them far better than any other team. So yeah, it does play a big part, to your point. I got there in the end.
So after every round with Pepsi Max, we are going to be putting together our team of the round. Now, Farah, you've expressed that maybe you're upset some of your picks haven't made it and mine have. Would you like to?
You know what? It's hard, isn't it? Because obviously there's opinions, there's things that we'll agree and not agree. And I was live at a game, and I think Endengala, she played right back for Paris FC, young player, 21, French girl. I thought she was unbelievable. And I also spoke about, you know, how good Caicedo was. But at the same time, I thought that battle down that side was very competitive and an enjoyable watch. And I felt like she really dealt with Caicedo in moments of the game for somebody so young. And I mean, I know Caicedo is very young, but very experienced for her young age. So yeah, how is she not in? Endengala, I hope I've said it right. I mean, my French isn't great, but how are you not in my back line? Who are we taking out? Because you look like you've paid somebody to put your players in.
I guess we'll never know. I don't know. Do you know, I actually really struggled anyway with my backline choices, because I felt defensively United were brilliant. I could have put their entire back line in. And I mean, like Adina, I thought she was really good for Arsenal as well. That was a real struggle for me. I think she came into the game, she's not really got the minutes. She's been injury prone the last few years. I think she's come into the game, she started, I want to say it's one of, if not her first start
for ages.
This season. And she's come into the game.
So why didn't she get in?
A brilliant game. Well, I don't know, why did she get in? May Letizier's in, I think, in that centre-back position.
Oh, so I got that one over on you.
Yeah, I thought she's brilliant. She's come into the game and she's real statement. She's gone, if you give me the time, here's what I can do. I thought she was brilliant.
So who are we taking out? Because I want that changing.
Maybe
I'll keep the Arsenal shirt on and we can go with...
Do you know, if we think it's hard now, imagine when Arsenal and Chelsea are going to be...
an Arsenal shirt. You're one of them half and halfers, aren't you? Go on, take out the teams outside of the WSL.
I personally think, I don't know. It's actually hard. Imagine when Arsenal and
just
Chelsea
leave her out and
this.
just give her a shout out. We'll leave her out and just give her a shout out. Right,
like Adina, you were absolutely brilliant.
Next week, similar performance and you'll be on our team.
I'm just excited to putting this together when we've got a Arsenal Chelsea.
Yeah, maybe we should do a build into the game.
Yeah,
and be like, right, what would our 11 be?
Do a joint 11.
Yeah, going into it. Maybe Pepsi Max. Maybe we'll let you know.
Pepsi Max. Let us know. I think that'd be so good.
That'd be more blue than red. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. Silence
is deafening. Well, we are clearly very opinionated, so let us know over on @Fara Williams on Instagram your thoughts. It's out there now, so. Yeah, it's been a good one.
It has been, and we'll be back next week, hopefully confirming the Arsenal-Chelsea quarterfinal. I say Arsenal because they have to be at home first because, the better team gets the second leg at home. So, yeah, we'll be back for that, hopefully. That's the truth. They finish in the top 4. They get the second leg at home. Unlucky.
All of a sudden, I don't like this new league structure. I think we should scrap it.